This is a 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's an all-wheel drive and it has the dreaded thumping problem. So when you put it into reverse, you hear this clunk. Sometimes when you're driving at low speed, it thumps so bad it feels like you have a flat tire, and you hear this grinding noise. I think a lot of people online have talked about it. I'm going to show you what the cause of it is. I've got the car jacked up, and I'll crawl under here so you can see what it is we're looking at. So under the car is the drive shaft. They call it the propeller shaft. And you can see this center support bearing or carrier bearing fails. So this is where it bolts on to the rear axle. And then I'm gonna scoot up here and you can see this is where it bolts on to the transaxle. And right here in the center is where this bearing fails. Watch what this does. This is how much movement there is in this thing. The whole thing can move around like this. And so it has a ton of play. You can see there's failed spring parts and so on. What they say about this part is you can't replace this center support bearing. You have to replace the entire drive line, which, like I say, they call the propeller shaft. At the dealer, it's $1,200. If you get one on eBay, you can get them new for $250 or so, and they just bolt right on. So the repair really isn't that bad. It's 4 bolts at the back, it's 3 in the front, and 2 at the center support. So 9 bolts. One thing I'll say, I have the factory service manual and it tells you you cannot reuse the bolts. You have to buy new bolts when you put it on and then torque it to specification. But the repair looks pretty simple, but you can see that's why these have that thumping noise. Okay, so we've taken the drive shaft out of the Hyundai Santa Fe. This is what it looks like when it's out of the car. You can see, like I mentioned, there are 3 bolts that come out at the back end of it, right here. This is what the bolts look like. There's 9 of them. So there's 3 that come out there. There's 4 that come out here in the front. That's what this looks like. You take 4 out of there. This is what that bearing looked like. When you look at this thing, I mean, it's bad. You can see this is the race where the bearings would run. All the ball bearings are gone. And this was just riding inside of here loose. So it's completely broken, completely destroyed. And Hyundai calls this non-serviceable. So this can't be repaired. They don't sell a carrier bearing to put back on here. So you buy a new propeller shaft and put it in, and luckily it's not that bad. One trick that you have to use is to get the wheels off the ground so that you can rotate the propeller shaft. Put the car in neutral, you rotate it, because when you're under there you only have access to one hole at a time like this with your socket, and so you remove one and rotate them around so you can get to the other ones. Same with the other side, and when you do that, it's pretty easy to get it off of there. It takes a little bit of prying on each end, but overall not bad. So after we removed the propeller shaft, we took it for a test drive, and no lights came on, no errors. It runs good, all the thumping's gone, and seems to work just fine without it.